Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to welcome you to our webinar. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat box at any time during the webinar. If we aren't able to answer them immediately, we will be sure to get the answer to you shortly after the webinar concludes. And now I'd like to introduce Eric Fournier, Director of Product Management for Controls. Eric?
Thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody to today's webinar. If you're relatively new to lighting control, we hope you will learn today what some of the key market drivers for lighting controls are. We will also give you an overview of the latest wireless lighting control system IntelliMax from MaxLite. We will share with you where we believe it best fits from an application standpoint, and we'll go over the resources and marketing tool that we have to support it. So let's get started. Why lighting control is so important and have been gaining traction. Some of these drivers have been around for the past 10, 20 years, like code compliance and energy savings. And others, like utility rebates or high-performance buildings, are relatively new to the driver and the motivation to use lighting controls. So let's look at each and every one in greater detail now. Building energy code and standard play a key role in helping reduce energy consumption and improve performance in today's building. These codes provide mandatory requirements for new construction as well as major renovation. The three main building energy codes under either IECC, and there are several versions out there from way back in 2003 all the way to 2015. ASHRAE 90.1, same thing, going all the way back to 2007 now with the latest version 2016. And in California, we have Title 24. There are also, in addition to these building codes, states and even city-specific requirements. And as we're looking at a map in the United States and even the adoption, I would say some states are certainly faster than adopting than others, some of these codes. But typically, the later version, the more recent version of each of these codes provide more stringent requirements. So at this point of time, there are very few states in the United States that are not mandated to comply with any type of building energy codes. As mentioned before, one of the key objectives with lighting control is to reduce energy consumption. And it is critical simply because lighting accounts for over a third of the commercial electricity consumption. And controls can save up to 60% saving depending on the control strategy that is being considered. When combining some of these prescriptive methods, such as occupancy sensor for automatic on-off, or daylighting, even combined with high-end trim or manual override, this is really when you start reaping the benefits of control, increasing your energy saving, and reducing your return on investments. Interestingly enough, according to the DOE, about two-thirds of the buildings in the United States still do not have lighting control. So time is right to reap the benefits of this lighting control, upgrade those buildings, and capitalize on these opportunities. While rebates and incentives have been around for a long time, historically they've been for simple analog and wire devices such as wall switch sensor. But over the past few years, there's been a push for intelligent lighting control system. Recently, DLC has created a standard for network lighting control system, and we are proud to report that IntelliMax, as of recently, is now on the QPL list and is certified for DLC 2.0, which is critical for the utility rebates, because rebates are a fantastic vehicle to absorb a significant portion of your lighting control investment and greatly accelerate ROI. And these rebates typically mandate that your network lighting control system actually comply and is certified under DLC, which we are. For the past many years, we've seen a growing interest for sustaining a high-performance building with a desire to achieve net zero consumption, as close as net zero as possible. In programs such as LEED, lighting controls are a prerequisite and can give important additional credit, helping to achieve higher level of performance and certification. So let's switch gears now and talk about IntelliMax, which is MaxLite wireless network lighting control system. When it comes to wireless technology, we believe that performance and reliability are key, so we chose Zigbee as a communicating protocol because it's the most common language of connected building. with about 1/3 of all wireless applications and over 150 well-known participants in its alliance. So unlike mesh network, other common topologies such as star, tree, or bus do not offer alternative routes through the network, meaning if one of the network devices fail or suffer from congestion, the network traffic will slow down greatly and may even stop. Simplicity is one of the three attributes that define IntelliMax. It is designed to meet energy code and give you the most energy saving out of the box. For instance, if you have a dimmer and an occupancy sensor, the system will default to what's called a vacancy mode, where you need to physically press the dimmer to turn the light on, and in the event that you forget to turn them off by pressing on the dimmer, when you leave the space, the occupancy sensor will turn the light off automatically after a certain time delay period, which is typically 15 to 20 minutes. Because it's a wireless system, it also reduces installation labor at cost, and it certainly gives you the flexibility to place key devices like occupancy and daylighting sensor where they are best suited for the application. And again, since these devices are wireless, they can easily be relocated if and when changes occur to the layout. Maybe the tenants are being changed and the customer desires to make some change to the layout. So it's certainly giving you more freedom to place and move those devices around as they best see fit from an application standpoint. We also believe that less is more, so we have more function built into devices, ultimately delivering less confusion for specifiers and installers. And last but not least, we recognize that lighting control can be challenging at times to lay out, and we also realize that your clients often need quick turnaround time. So we have a project management team dedicated to controls, and we also offer online commissioning. When it comes to configuring and personalizing the system, we chose to have a simple app with step-by-step instruction to guide you through the process. And it's really one of the key here with IntelliMax is the fact that we have this app that makes it very easy for someone who has no experience or prior experience with IntelliMax to understand how to get started, how to add gateways, and follow the process of grouping and ungrouping devices on a room-by-room basis. So very straightforward. Performance and reliability. Performance is the second attribute of IntelliMax. As we stated before, we chose a proven and robust wireless technology with Zigbee. We also have a dedicated team of engineers in the United States who have done full-scale testing, meaning we have tested the system at its maximum capacity over a long period of time. We are also ensuring that each device brought into the system is fully certified. Last but not least, the way the system was designed with distributed gateway and architecture actually ensure faster communication and minimize latency from devices to devices. When it comes to wireless technology, security is key, and we've gone the extra mile to make sure our system is extremely secure. So we have 4 different layers of security, starting first with a physical security. Physically, what has to be done here is you need to have access to the gateway, which is typically in a private location or well-defined location, and someone needs to physically press a button on the gateway itself to initiate any type of communication. So there's an aspect at the physical level, and then there's an important device security level with 128-bit encryption. We also have security at the network level where we're actually using secure HTTPS protocol and standard Wi-Fi network. The fourth layer, the fourth aspect of it is the over-the-air security update. That's an important one where we can eventually catch any type of breach that may try to happen and block them at that point. So again, high level, and we'll have more white paper on the subject to go deeper on the subject of security. It is critical to the performance of the wireless system, and we have put a lot of thought and effort into making sure that our system is very secure. So MaxLite decided to partner with a company called Cortet, who has extensive RF expertise and has been around for many years. Cortet is ultimately building an ecosystem of partners, with each of them having Zigbee HA 1.2 devices, and bringing those devices into this ecosystem and guaranteeing the performance of these devices through certification. So again, one of the key attribute and benefit of what we're doing here is this ecosystem that is being created is actually built on an open protocol platform where each partner can bring their own devices, giving our customer the freedom to choose where they decide to procure the devices. And even though we are offering turnkey solution, we're also saying that in the event that the customer choose to get certain end devices from manufacturer, as long as they're Cortet certified, those devices are guaranteed to work as part of this network lighting control system. The third attribute of IntelliMax is around this idea of option and scalability. Recognize that it's imperative to use what's required, no more, no less, for the application, where in some cases we may, for example, decide to group fixture together, or you could individually control them. And for us, we would be using the same end devices and use the application to group or ungroup devices and fixtures together. So again, simplicity here is key, and making sure that we're designing per the application. Similarly, the project can easily be scaled by adding gateways and expand your project as needed. So you don't have to go and full scale up front. You can scale the project as you need it. There's no need to change hardware. Simply expand what you've done, and the system will be able to control a greater area. Lastly, options. We want to make sure that your customer is free to choose the supplier and feel they're not bound exclusively to MaxLite, giving you, again, full control over what devices are being brought in. As long as, again, those devices are being certified by Cortet, the system will perform the way it's supposed to. From an application standpoint, our intention was not to create a silver bullet, but instead focus on simplicity. As a result, today we see IntelliMax best fitting for small to medium-sized commercial and industrial buildings. For instance, office spaces, school, warehouses, or even recently we got a police station project. So some of these projects, small to medium sizes, where again we see today the best fit for IntelliMax. It is really not meant at this point to be an full enterprise level solution if you have requirements such as AV integration, shade integration, or even BMS integration. But we have aspiration to evolve the system over time to move it more toward the full enterprise level solution as well. So now let's take a look at IntelliMax system and the end devices one by one. Let's start with the Mini Hub. The Mini Hub is essentially required for the project for a given application. It's a device that ultimately holds the rules between each of the end devices and can manage things like schedule and ultimately controls up to 120 devices. It's a device that requires power, and it's also a device where there's an Ethernet port. So we recommend connection to the Ethernet simply for automatic over-the-air updates. IntelliMax Nodes or load controller come in two versions. We have 5 amp model and 20 amp model, allowing you to group a larger number of fixtures together. So again, depending on your application need, you would choose a 5 or 20 amp node. 5 amp nodes are best suited if you're controlling individual fixture or if you're grouping a small number of fixtures together. 20 amp nodes are ideal if you're grouping a larger group of fixtures together. From a functionality standpoint, these nodes are used for either on-off switching or 0 to 10 volt dimming as well. From a mounting standpoint, they can either be mounted onto a J-box or they can be mounted directly into the fixture itself. And we at MaxLite, assuming that the project is going with IntelliMax controls and MaxLite fixture, we can actually pre-install this node into the fixture. From a manual override standpoint, we're offering two different options. We have a dimmer and we have a switch, on-off switch. These devices actually are manufactured by Leviton, and again, they are certified by Cortet and are part of this ecosystem. So they are very simple. Replace a standard toggle switch or switch, install these wireless devices, and now you have actually communication to the rest of the network. And occupancy sensors are a key aspect of the system. We actually have two different models. They're both ceiling mounts with a 360-degree field of view. We're using a PIR technology. And these options are for smaller coverage area, about 450 square feet, as well as 1,500 square feet. So we recommend, depending on the application, and we have a team to help, to use one or the other. From a power standpoint, the sensors are actually using a battery with a 7 to 10 year life guarantee. We are also offering a daylighting sensor. So the daylighting sensor can be a great adder to an occupancy sensor where you're layering on top of occupancy, daylight contribution, and adjusting the electrical light based on the amount of natural light that is coming into the space. So it's a closed-loop technology, ceiling mount device that also comes with a battery with a 7 to 10 year life. Last but not least, the application that we designed is supporting iOS and Android-based smart devices, smartphone. This, again, application was designed with it in mind to be simple, and it's great to actually group devices, hold schedules, create schedules, and one given user level control can integrate up to 6 different mini hubs, giving us a total of 720 devices controlled by a single app. So again, at the system level, let's just recap again the devices and their role, right? So starting with the node, as we mentioned before, we can use those nodes to control individual fixtures, in which case you would likely go with a 5 amp rated node, or you can group multiple fixtures together using either the 5 or the 20 amp models. The hub is, again, required for a given installation. The hub holds the logic, to hold also advanced features such as scheduling. The hub support up to 120 devices, and as you're scaling up your application, you simply need to add mini hubs to the project. Switches and dimmer, you would use typically one per zone, and you can also certainly use them in a situation when you have a three-way, so two entry points in a given space. Sensors, whether they are the occupancy or the daylighting sensors, you would need typically one or multiple sensor per zone, and the determination is simply based on the application, the dimension, the size, the characteristic of the space. And again, our team at that point will do this calculation and will optimize the layouts. Talk about the app again. It's required to do any type of configuration and personalization of the system. And last but not least, Wi-Fi router. The router is required to allow the mobile app to have communication with the rest of the IntelliMax system. So let's talk now about cost analysis, give you an idea of what are the options, and we're giving you here the example of one of our conference rooms where we started from not having any lighting control system as a baseline. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side was a total of $2,700. It was taking a space and adding fixtures and the labor associated with those luminaires. The second bar graph you're seeing in the middle is when we actually chose to group those fixtures together. So we took a node and we actually daisy chained 0 to 10 and we grouped those fixtures together. And what you're seeing here is there is, give or take, a 38% increment over the cost of no controls by adding IntelliMax devices in a space, right? Nodes, sensors, and dimmers and gateway. Interestingly enough here is if you decide to go from a zone-based approach or group approach to an individual fixture approach, the incremental cost is not as high as one might think. In our case, it turned out being about a 13% increment. And what happened here is even though there was a higher cost associated with the devices by adding a node per fixture, the labor charges went down. which offset partially the cost of the devices here. So just wanted to give you and close on this perspective. Both application and control strategy can be done, grouping or going with the path of individual fixture control. For a small premium, it's certainly buying a lot of flexibility over time to have individual fixture control, which is often a solution that we recommend to our customers. Okay, so from a marketing standpoint and resources standpoint, there's a few things, obviously, that we're doing to help you support. Number one is trying to make it easy for your clients to understand which products are compatible with IntelliMax. So we've created this very simple logo that you'll see on product pages, brochure, datasheet, and others that will be associated with the fixtures that are compatible with IntelliMax. At the same time, I want to point out that IntelliMax is also meant to be installed in the field, at which point the nodes can be installed to any fixture, whether they're a MaxLite fixture or another manufacturer luminaire. So long as they're using a 0 to 10 volts driver, those nodes can be installed in the field. We are also working on design guide, and that design guide is really meant to provide an overview and recommendation as to what type of equipment would be required to meet the energy codes. And we've chose to start with ASHRAE 90.1 being a common building energy code. So we've taken a few common spaces and we're giving design recommendation, we're giving a bill of material, and we're also doing a side-by-side between simple code-compliant solution with a beyond codes, as we call it, recommendation. If you wanted to get additional energy saving beyond what codes require, get your customer a higher level of flexibility in the application and comfort, we have made recommendation, again, as to what equipment you would need and what it means to the sequence of operation and design consideration. So it's very, very simple guide with a few common applications that hopefully will help your customer design some of this space with IntelliMax. We also have a very detailed and comprehensive design guide that goes through, again, the commissioning and step-by-step startup, as well as troubleshooting guide. So it's very detailed, very comprehensive, and highly recommend anybody to make sure that they also have this guide handy. Last but not least, we created for your convenience an IntelliMax Microsite. So if you go maxlite.com/IntelliMax, this site is dedicated to IntelliMax. It gives you easy information, videos and brochure and detailed specification for each of the devices that are part of IntelliMax. So very convenient site, very resourceful. And again, for us, what I would say is this is really a starting point. There will be a lot more effort put into resources. You'll see more videos coming from us, detailed videos in the near future. But we believe that these tools will be very useful as we get started and you get started with IntelliMax. So thank you again. Certainly appreciate your time and attention today. And I will now turn it over to Matt to finish this webinar.
Thank you, Eric. If you'd like to further your knowledge on the lighting industry, head on over to MaxLite University. The MaxLite University Lighting Degree Program offers 3 comprehensive courses in lighting fundamentals, ranging from beginner to advanced learning. The university is located at maxliteuniversity.com. If you're looking to stay updated with all that MaxLite has to offer, please go to our homepage at www.maxlite.com/subscribe and subscribe to our MaxLite Minute newsletter, product announcements, press releases, and webinars. Please be sure to follow MaxLite on all your social media. That'll include LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Please feel free to use this opportunity to ask any questions you may have about MaxLite or the products shown in this presentation.